Go.
And we are back for another episode of The Thinker and the Joker. We're not live yet, but so you'll be listening to this after it's been recorded and sent and put on YouTube. But yeah, soon enough we'll be doing them live, right, Reda?
That's right. Once we've got a bigger budget for this.
And more people also listening in, then definitely why not? How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, same as always. This being stuck at home, being locked down in prison. Actually, that's the way I look at it. It's no good. But
Yeah.
how about you? How you doing?
Hey, good. You know, I had my first barbecue yesterday. I must say one thing, right? That I came to realize.
Your first barbecue?
Yeah, this summer, obviously,
Oh,
this
okay.
holiday, this spring, you know. But I realized that it is one of those things that is international. Like, no one can claim they are the ones, their country is the one who invented barbecue because it's grilling meat on fire. And at the end of the day, it's, been existed since the cavemen. You know, I mean, there's no way of.
Yeah.
However, whatever country you go to, they're completely different barbecues. Like there isn't you know what? It's not like a bolognese is always going to be a bolognese. You know what I mean? Pizza, they can at least all agree that it's going to be cheese, and margarita is a margarita. With a barbecue, you get so many different types of barbecue. It's almost continental. So like depending on the continent, you would have completely different type of meat, different way of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, I'm just thinking: is there such a thing as like a fish barbecue?
There is definitely a fish queue. I actually was speaking to this about with my wife yesterday because I'm like, I don't know. I love grilled fish, really good.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd like a grilled barbecue. It just seems like too much, I don't know. It might be too much of a either waste, or the smell might come out bad, or I don't know how it would actually cook.
Do you
But like when you go to the yeah
fried stuff?
with fish,
No, in general.
no, I like grilled stuff.
Okay.
I like oven-based stuff, like things you cook in the oven. I like saucy stuff as well. I'm you know, like I like condiments and dips and all that.
Here's the thing with barbecues, right? I think barbecues are the last remaining male, like chauvinistic thing
Oh,
left, right? It's associated with being a masculine person, that a barbecue. And I'm just wondering, like, when that will go, because I'm sure eventually, countries like Sweden, because Sweden's a pioneer in the equality movement
yeah.
in any social endeavors. The Swedes are like pioneer, or the first to do it, whether it's right or wrong. But yeah, I wonder if like you'll be seeing Swedish women doing barbecues in the future.
I don't know. I don't know how it is, but in my household, I've already given the barbecue batons to Sarah.
Oh, so you don't do the barbecue in your house?
I don't. I help. I prep. I'm a prep guy. You know.
Okay.
Like the sides and stuff like that. If there's dips involved, if there's things like that, I'm happy to do those things.
So
But
you
like,
actually swapped roles then?
man, but it's so much better because then when the meat is cooking, you can be drinking, you can be chilling. Obviously, you're helping and you're giving advice. Do you think it's ready? You give you see over from a distance and you adjust things. But mostly Sarah does. And to be fair, I don't need any adjusting because Sarah does one hell of a barbecue. She's pretty good at it.
So actually, you're kind of retired then from doing barbecues.
I am.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I love doing them in like Cyprus. But when I came here, it wasn't. It was like, wow, this is a whole different ball game. In Cyprus, I was used to the sheftalia. You get this big thing, you put the six, bam, 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 that's done. The skewers with the meat. They rotate themselves. You just need to come and have a look from time to time, cut a little piece, make sure it's white inside, and that's it. But like here, it's everything is on and
Yeah.
it's turning involved and whatever. So.
I mean, at least you're retired. I'm actually a barbecue virgin.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've never done a barbecue in my life.
Nice.
I'm
You know
holding
what's
out.
funny?
I'm holding out. You know why? Because I think
Why?
in the future you'll just have like a machine or device. Just put in the meat and it'll give you the exact same taste or feel of a
Probably.
barbecue. So I never have to learn how to do it, even though I doubt it's that difficult.
That I'm doing that with driving.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man,
actually you can, right?
I'm 36, and soon enough Tesla's gonna invent some cars that you don't need people to drive in. Like those driverless taxis and things like that. So I'll be waiting for one of those to be available, and I'll just buy that.
Yeah, I think they already have driverless cars anyway. They're
Yeah,
trialing them. I think some of them are even out on the streets. I don't know. I think they
yeah,
might have
yeah, yeah.
sold some and
In
like people
smaller
use them.
towns,
Yeah.
and I think they're doing trucks as well now. Like
Yeah.
they're testing those, but like big trucks, so all the truck drivers will be out of a job soon enough.
I mean, that's a whole discussion, but I don't necessarily think uh, you know, automation is a bad thing. I think you one type of job goes out and then other types of job get created. So there's
Yeah,
always
of
going to be
course.
something, you
There
know?
is. I think, the people who do say it's bad, it's the people who aren't looking to do anything else. And that I kind of like if you've been a truck driver for 30 years and someone tells you, listen, you're not going to drive a truck anymore, but you can fix the truck and learn how to fix it, you'll be like, I'm approaching retirement age.
Yeah. I,
So it's those jobs don't become available. But at the end of the day, you always have to look for the younger people who are still looking for a career. It's not older people who are
yeah.
they've worked most of their life already.
No, but even if you're in an industry which is in danger of, going out of like
Mm.
use or whatever, um, just find another job. There's always going
Yeah,
to be jobs, and
of course.
like for example, you know, 50 years ago or whatever, there are very limited air hostesses because the flights weren't as prevalent as now.
Yeah,
Now there's $1 billion tourism industry, right? Which didn't exist 80 years ago. So
no way.
so there were jobs before that were lost because of automation or factories that could start producing. But then new jobs in say tourism and all that kind of stuff get created in $1 billion industry. And the
Yeah,
way I see it is in the future, if like we pretty much don't need anything to do anything to get food and all that kind of stuff. There'll still be jobs in making movies for entertainment or whatever. There's
of
always
course.
going to
No,
be
there's
something.
something you don't need studying in.
Yeah, like the more we
Just
can
jump in.
automate to make, the more we can automate the easy tasks
Yeah.
that guarantee our survival or whatever, the more we can direct our focus on like more nuanced
And
stuff.
yeah. More important things. Yeah, that's a good point. And to be honest, it's not that bad. Like one thing that did make me realize is that you know what, all this need of offices, extra places to occupy. Hopefully, if anything that made me realize is that since people are going to be working from home, hopefully there's other things that will actually reduce, like construction and all that, especially in places like that are small, like Malta and Cyprus, where there's just office buildings, office buildings, office buildings, office buildings. I hope that eventually that this kind of slows down at least, because that's also like I know it's not necessarily something that gets automated and jobs become less, but the fact that you can do your work at home, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, but I guess they'll have to start building houses instead of
Yeah,
office
yeah.
buildings. They always have
That's
to
fine.
build,
I don't
right?
mind. Much better. Probably better for the environment as well.
What?
All these skyscrapers,
Building?
birds, planes banging straight on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the impact is. I always think if you could build one building and house 20 million to 200 people, uh, it's better than building 200 houses, right? Probably take less land.
Yeah, possibly.
Anyway, we've got a lot
Possibly,
of
but
land.
they end up building those 20 buildings on top of each other on the same piece of land. So
Yeah.
so he ends up like taking advantage of what should have been, should have been done. But anyways, yeah, that's about it, man. Like, I was gonna tell you as well. Aside from the barbecue, I've been taking my dog back out for walks because I wasn't like during the isolation because he stays at my father-in-law. But since we're kind of okay now and like we're sure not to have it and etc. I start going there now and taking him for walks, and those are actually really nice. The walking, the nice weather, that's like sort of gives you a nice headspace.
Yeah, I mean, what's your dog's name? Do you want to give a shout out to your dog?
Shout out to Alexa if you're listening to this. Can I just say one thing, by the way? She's the stupidest dog in the world, man. She's like
Alexa.
smart. Yeah, like, oh, jeez.
Did
She
you
just heard me.
did you just
Yeah, she's like,
activate
what
your?
did you say? Yeah, what did you say?
Wait, that's
But
confusing, no? If you have
it is.
like the the Amazon Echo or whatever, and then you also have the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, it is. I, she's a really nice dog and very smart in some ways, but very dumb in other ways. Like for example, when I'm walking over to the house where she is, like from way down the road when I'm walking, I could see her like by the window just waiting for me. She knows I'm going to come at this time. I'm going to take her out for a walk. I go in and she just like, is excited to see me, calms a bit down, waits for me to take the lead. As soon as she sees the lead, she knows she's going for a walk, And even afterwards, when I walk her, she knows exactly where to go, what she needs to do. You know what I mean? Like she can be the one leading, if that makes sense. But when I actually put the, what would you call it, a harness on the dog, not the collar, the thing that you put the dog in. Is it a harness? Is that what it's called?
What thing do you like? It's
So
like a.
it's like a sleeve, like the thing that you
Yeah.
put.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's
Let's
called a
call it a
harness.
harness because it could be.
Yeah. Please leave your comments if you know the actual word, and we will make sure to use it next time. Thank you. No, but yeah, whenever I go to put that thing on her, man, she's like the dumbest. Like we've done it a million times, and she keeps like she'll put the back leg on. I'm like, that doesn't go at the back. Don't be stupid. Come on. And then she like lifts both legs and then puts them in the same hole. I'm like, no, you need to get that out, put it in the other side. Like that part takes about 15 minutes alone. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I don't think dogs are the smartest, are they? If you're gonna pick
No.
an animal, you
Yeah,
wouldn't.
and no, yeah, I think they're smarter with things like they're more aware of like noise. As soon as there's noise, they know where it's coming from. Or
Yeah, that's
she's
not
a hunting
intelligence
dog,
though.
so
That's more like their senses are better.
senses. Yeah, their senses are better, but they're not actually smart. No.
Probably a
Uh,
cat
they,
is smarter.
There's another dog that my father-in-law has, and he's really old, so I don't take him out for walks because he can't take it. He's like very, very old. But he always has a grudge against Alexa whenever I take Alexa out for a walk. And when I come back, Alexa's like extremely tired, and she just wants to drink water, and he just jumps in the way and goes, and he's drinking the water like in sort of like you have to wait your turn, but like he's not even thirsty, Just the dog being an asshole to another dog because he went out, and I realized that's a very human trait almost in dogs. You know what I mean? They feel that they have that jealousy, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're not thinking, are they? The dogs don't really think. I wonder what is going through their mind when they do that. Maybe it's just a playful reflex that they do.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, it's weird though because it's the same thing when you're petting them, right? When you're petting one dog, what does the other dog do? He wants in on the pet action.
Yeah, he realizes this feels good. If I move closer to this human, I'll get. I mean, they're not even thinking that, right? It's just
Yeah, it's just, oh look, this dog is getting pet. I
Yeah, it's
want to
almost
get
like
pet.
they're programmed that,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I move here, human, pet me. Like they probably talk
mm,
like that, or that's how they process things. Human
yeah,
there, I go, pet,
yeah, yeah,
like that's
yeah,
probably right.
exactly. And I'll tell you another thing. Like aside from the jealousy trait that definitely dogs have in terms of human traits, but the other thing I realized is that they're very like, dogs are always, whenever you give them a bone, unless it's one of those those chewable things that they can eat in 2 seconds, but if it's a hard bone, the first thing they'll do is they'll keep it away from other people in the house or dogs or etc. So they'll find a place to hide it and protect it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that again is something a lot of other animals, okay, some animals do, but a lot of animals don't do. But it's again something that us humans have, like when we are protective over our things that are valuable to us.
I think they see it as a threat, like, oh, he's taking my stuff or whatever. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
speaking of hard bones, um, was trying to make a joke there, but
Yeah, well, don't let Alexa see it because you won't see it again.
oh, okay. Wait, is
No, it's
Alexa is a boy or a girl?
a girl.
Oh, okay. And well, is it just a boy thing when the dogs try and hump everything, or do girls do that as well?
No, you see, it's weird. Like I had a female dog before that used to do that as well, and I,
Really?
I was quite convinced that that female dog was maybe gay.
or like gender fluid, or one of them ones.
Yeah, I mean, she used to hump Alexa as well. Like when Alexa'd be lying down, and she'd be like, she was
Yeah,
a tiny
yeah.
dog, or like pillows or whatever, and I'd be like, well, you don't have anything to hump. What were you doing? But yeah. And I also had a male dog that was maybe gay. Like I take him out. His name was Zidane, like the
I
footballer.
remember Zidane, man, from
Yeah, I
Cyprus.
take him out, and whenever there were female dogs, he'd be terrified of them. Terrified, like and weirdly, And whenever there were male dogs, he was very like, "Hey, how are you?" La, 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 pop.
Oh,
And
really?
he'd try, and I'd be like, "Sorry, man, your dog's just putting his bum out there. What do you want me to do?" Uh, Now, that was, to be honest, if anything, he was probably bi because he did have puppies with a female dog that I had, a beagle. So actually, that's
That doesn't tell you much because there's lots of gay guys who actually have children and have families.
true. I mean, Zidane might have been in the closet.
Yeah, he never came out of the closet. I think you never created the atmosphere he needed to come out of the closet.
No, you're right. You're right.
I think you should, be ashamed of yourself and go ahead and think about that.
I should, and it won't be like the same with my future dogs. I promise. Um, but yeah, I was going to tell you, by the way, did you have a look at the article about this U.S. women's team rights about getting paid the same and all that?
I heard about that. Yeah.
Look,
Um,
it, look, 100%. By the way, the U.S. female team is probably more like achieved more than the U.S. men's team, right?
Relative.
But the earnings not down to isn't the earnings sort of down to how popular this sport is? You know what I mean? Like if, for example, you're fighting in the UFC and you're making millions, and then you fight in, I don't know, one of the lower promotions, you won't be making those millions, regardless of how big of a star you are or how much you've achieved comparing to UFC stars that only do early prelim cards. But forget men and female. I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. That's how I see earnings in different sports. I'm not trying to like if there was enough money in the women's football as much as the men's football, 100% it should be given to the athletes and the people that made that promotion that sport as big, and the ones that have achieved so much, etc. 100%. But it'd be the same thing in other sports, right? That maybe are more popular. I don't know. Can you think of a sport on top of it, that is more popular with females than it is with males?
Maybe.
Or as popular like tennis. I love women's
The
tennis
men
as
still
much as
get paid
men's tennis.
more. The men still get paid more. Maybe gymnastics, but I don't know what.
Or ice
I don't know.
skating.
Yeah, maybe ice skating as well. I'm not sure, but
wait, does the tennis? Do the men get paid more in tennis? Isn't
Yeah.
it like a prize money's a prize money for a final in Wimbledon or in Roland Garros?
no, it's still. I mean, I think every tournament decides its prize money based on
And
maybe adverts or sponsors and
sponsors.
all that kind of
But
stuff.
again, it's sponsors and adverts. Like if
Yeah.
someone calls you Kia, for the Australian, they're always a sponsor for the Australian Grand Slam, and
Yeah.
they're saying, look, we're going to give this much to the men's and this much to the women's.
Yeah,
You can't
but
really
even
do it.
then, Kia's not being sexist. Kia's just looking at the number, the
Interests.
viewers, and they're saying, okay, if we post an ad during a women's game, we're getting 100,000 viewers, but if we post an ad during the men's game, we get 500,000 viewers. So obviously, an ad on the men's game should cost more, maybe 5 times more, because 5 times more
Yeah.
viewers. I'm just making the
Yeah.
numbers up, but that's it's just an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
And that's how they'd look at it. And yeah, obviously, the more money that's generated for the tournament.
Can you give me 1 second, Reda? I'm so
Yeah, no
sorry. Can you
worries.
pause? Is
Okay,
there any way of pausing? We'll
I'll
be right
pause it.
back, folks.
Yeah, so as I was saying, that I think the men get paid more because they generate more viewers and they produce, they end up being more productive in that sense, right? That more people are paying to watch the men so they can generate more money. And I think that is the main point when it comes to salaries that people don't understand. So when people say, oh, pay NHS workers, footballers salaries, they think NHS workers are more noble and all that, and that they do a much more important job. But that's not how salaries are calculated. Salaries are not calculated on how noble your craft is. It's on how productive it is, how much
money
you can generate, and how much people you reach. So an NHS nurse might be able to treat like 10 people a day, at best. So she can positively affect 10 people a day, but that's how productive she is. She's affecting 10 people. A footballer has, millions of people that they're watching them every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. And these people are paying, their hard-earned money voluntarily to watch them. So a footballer's outreach is in the millions, whereas an NHS, a nurse, her outreach is 10 people a day. So even though her craft is maybe more noble, more important, for survival and all that kind of stuff.
No doubt. No one would deny
that's
that.
not what salaries are based on. And I just don't think people understand that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, like I'm not trying to in any way come across sexist or unappreciative to all the nurses and etc. But that's exactly it. At the end of the day, also the people paying the footballers are not the same people paying the nurses. So, or the doctors or etc. So, the source of income is coming from a different place. I'm pretty sure even if you compare the same job within two different businesses, like a nurse in a private sector or a nurse in a public hospital, the private nurse, I'm pretty sure, gets paid better than the public, the public nurse. So, I see that, like I was reading the article and I'm like, no doubt, I can appreciate them wanting equal rights, but if there isn't enough money to go around everyone, I much rather everyone gets a share of money, that number 2, number 3, number 5, whatever, proportionally, obviously, etc., than the US getting all the money just so they can get the same amount of money as the men's team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
In
look,
a way, them wanting the money means that the others will end up paying for it, and the men's team's not going to pay for it.
no, so just for, from our previous example, it's like me and you, we've paid more towards footballers than we have towards nurses. And that's,
Yeah,
if we were to be ill, right, then obviously at that moment in time, a nurses will be much more valuable to us and be willing to
definitely,
pay a lot more for it. It's just that
definitely.
we're not ill most of the time, so we're not
No,
valuing the nurse.
sorry,
A
nurses.
footballer is affecting our lives more often than a nurse is.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and the you know the women's football team who want equal pay, I think what they're asking is, okay, we can't generate as much money, but someone needs to pay us the same as them, as the men. So how would you do that? You'd have to take money from the men, I guess. But
or
then
from
how's
lower
that?
teams
Yeah, I
and be
mean,
like second
somehow you're
place
gonna
only
have to
gets X amount.
redistribute the
Yeah,
wealth just based on the fact that people are playing
yeah,
football rather than what
yeah,
um, what value they're giving to people and what money
yeah.
they're generating.
Yeah, exactly. All these reality shows, the actresses and the actresses, etc. They make way more money than reality shows from more targeted towards guys or etc. Like all these Kim Kardashian shows comparing to the Discovery shows that you watch. I'm pretty sure there's way more money in that
I'll tell you what,
for
I
women.
would be interested to know if female porn stars are paid more than the males because I
They
think
should
that
be.
they should be, right?
100% agree. Like, and they are, by the way. I'm pretty sure they are. I've watched a few of those Louis Theroux's and documentaries to know that they are. Well,
Okay.
depending as well. I'm talking about the top quality ones, the Brazers, the high
Yeah, yeah,
production ones.
yeah.
I'm not talking about the ones done in a little farm in Tajikistan and who seem like the people don't even know it's filmed. I'm not talking about those.
I'll tell you what. In some ways, I don't think you even need to pay the fucking men. They'll do it for free.
In some cases, 100%. I think though that it's always been like I've seen as well, like in those documentaries, a lot of the time when the men are interviewed, and it seems like they're finding that inequality is hard in this business. So they're as affected by it as the U.S. women's football team is by their thing, except it's two different industries. Well, funnily enough, by the way, that you mentioned porn, and I was going to tell you that.
I
Have you
think we
been
mentioned porn in every podcast, but anyway.
every single podcast? But I was watching 90 Day Fiance again, but not the before with 90 Days, before the original one, right? And it's a new season, etc. And one of these couples, whatever, I'm not going to go through it, but one of the women in there, I think that she's a grandmother, and she's a porn star, right? And it's like she's basically she's the grandmother of a kid, and the kid belongs to a guy who's in that show. And I came to this realization that as soon as she said that, I'm like, okay, I have to find her later. Like it was a mission
Oh yeah,
afterwards. It was
okay.
like I have to find out what she did, or see that person. Okay, yeah, I've seen her naked. That's it. That's enough. I just like as soon as someone says in any show you watch, in any reality movie you watch, as soon as someone says they're a porn star directly, right? You are thinking the
So
same thing.
so I do the same thing, but there's one thing I stopped doing, and because I learned it was wrong. It took me a long time because I never really thought about it, and that's when. So whenever I hear this naked pictures of a woman, I would want to go see them, right? But if it's someone that was hacked, like a celebrity, and is against their will,
You
then I
don't.
wouldn't do it just because it's not their fault. It's
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm like you. Like, if someone says, like, la, la, I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm not in a. If it comes up, it comes up, and I'll see it. If someone sends it to me, I'll see it. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean,
going to go out of my way. But
yeah,
as soon as someone says in a movie or etc., yeah, I used to be a famous porn star or a documentary or whatever, I'll be like, oh,
yeah,
really?
that I want to see.
Why didn't I hear of you?
That's right. I mean, someone who voluntarily shows himself naked, I'm willing to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
Support the cause.
That's right. You're funding them in some way.
But yeah, no, that's it, man. To be honest, in terms of my, the barbecue
So
and
wait,
those kind of.
you were telling me about the old lady. She was old, right? And I'm guessing she must have met this guy online.
No, it's a guy basically who met a girl from Dominican Republic, and he brought her over to the America. And that guy had a wife before he got with this Dominican Republic, who passed away.
Oh, okay.
And that wife's mom is the porn star.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I was thinking about like how old people communicate on the internet when you said that, and I thought, how are old people meeting young people on the internet? Because they kind of talk a different language, right?
Oh, completely.
I mean, I don't know if old people use emojis, and if they do, I'm pretty sure they're using them incorrectly. I don't know if they know the acronyms as well. You know?
Yeah, there's a really good page on Facebook that has that touches on that. It's called "Please Show This to Jim." Ha ha ha. I recommend you join it, and it's basically all people on the internet and how they don't get what's going on, or someone would post something funny or gross because it's funny or something, and they just like school them, on there and be like, "You shouldn't do this," People are sometimes having their dinner while they're watching your pictures. Yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, are your parents on the internet? How are they?
They're not really. No, they're not on the internet. I mean, my mom opened up an Instagram account at one point, but never used it ever.
Mm.
I'm guessing my sister or someone opened it up for her. I doubt she would have used it. No, they're not, and we don't really chat too much chat-wise on WhatsApp. It's more like a call, if anything.
Yeah.
They'll post some chat once in a while, but it's nothing. So I haven't really found anything funny that they've done. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom is very just Pinterest and not even Facebook, no nothing. So it's very hard for me as well. But I was kind of one of those kids that was like, you shouldn't do this, mom. You shouldn't use Facebook. You won't like it. You shouldn't use that.
I agree. I wouldn't want my mother to use Facebook and all that. And
my own kids,
because imagine like there's actually lots of families who their moms and grandparents are on Facebook, right? And they could see everything they post. Or that was before. Maybe now with the privacy settings, I don't know how it works.
I tell you one thing. I have my mom's friends on my Facebook, and they added me. I kind of felt like, I'll accept. Not like we're going to be speaking a lot or etc. It's inoffensive and it makes them happy, etc. But man, the amount, they do this thing every single day, both of them. They don't know, I don't know if they know, actually, they do know each other, but they're not. But they do this thing every single day where they send the same message to 1,000,000 people, hoping that someone will reply. It's not like to you specifically, hey, look what I cooked today. It'll be something like private message, but it'll be like, hey, look what I did. Or it will be like, this is COVID-19 breakthrough news, and it will be like this the spammiest clickbait article in the world, or like share this to 20 people. But one of them specifically, right, does the most annoying thing ever, is that she spams everyone's inbox privately by sending all these messages to the same people. But then she checks on you hours later to make sure you've seen it. And it pisses me off so. I don't even mind getting the spam thing, mute notification. But I mind getting did you see the video before they took it out about how COVID-19 is or how this? Yeah. And I'd be like, come on, who are you? I have to, that really annoys me. I never reply to them, and even though I don't reply, I still get them because they just mass send, mass send.
So actually, now that you mentioned, I was thinking, you know how being overcautious can protect you, right? If you're on the fearful side, if you could always say, it's better to have a lockdown than not to have one, because if we're wrong, it's fine. At least we tried. to protect people. But if we're right, then the danger is so bad. But no one ever talks about the advantages of doing the opposite, which is taking risks. Like, I think that's if you're always on the side of caution, then you miss out on a lot in life. Like, imagine Thomas Edison being afraid of electricity and saying, I might get electrocuted, so I'm not going to try to invent the light bulb or whatever. Or any great inventor or chemist who tried things, explorers who went out to sea and because there was a danger there that they could, die or whatever. So I don't think anyone ever talks about the advantages of, risk, within reason, to take risks and explore things and do things.
Yeah, but all these examples are examples you did where the greater good was the result of that leap of faith. But us going back to normal lives is not going to, we're not going to, by doing that, by us doing the leap of faith, we're not going to be the ones who also find the cure ourselves, you know what I mean? Or something, so it's not like the action that you do by not staying at home. Is this what you're referring to?
Well, I mean, do you want to talk about how this applies to the coronavirus lockdowns?
Yeah, like that's not.
I mean, okay, well, I could think of lots of advantages. I mean, wait, there's lots of
businesses, economy.
Yeah.
The economy, man.
You talk about it like it's nothing. For me, the economy is everything. The economy is the marketplace of human values. So anything you have good in your life, anything you enjoy that makes your life better, it's because of the economy. And all the economy is the commerce of people trying to invent things, trying to work out what they can invent to make your life easier and better so that they can sell it to you. And then you're willingly wanting to buy it so that you can have a better life. So people look at the economy like it's separate from human life, but economy is people's lives because it's the place where people interact and decide, okay, what can I do next, or what can I invent, or what can I buy next that will improve my life. So imagine you got rid of that, right? We didn't have any of the stuff. We go back to caves. Does that make our lives better? A lot of people will die. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so what you're saying is that it's not necessarily directly related to the issue, but maybe going back out is us not delaying things that could be out now, which could improve our life, regardless of what that thing is. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying two things. I'm saying the economy is life. It's not that it's the economy versus life. It's part of what makes life possible. And the other thing is, if we're talking about, I mean, they might have been lots of advantages to not shutting down if you're not gonna, because I think the effects of shutting down the economy are going to be seen for years to come. So right now, we could say, oh, it's all good, we locked down. But what if, they're saying that 150 million people are going to go into starvation in parts of the world. Let's say 1% of them die because of that. That's 15 million. No, 1.5 million, sorry. So would that,
Okay, but having said that, let me throw something back at you then.
Yeah, go on.
What if the actual way of, taking that leap, that risk, is not doing the normal that we've been doing before and being out and treating like, all is going to be good, but by actually staying indoors, we improve other aspects, like we said in the beginning of the podcast, other aspects that come out from that. Things that are not needed as much anymore. The use of drones that increased, the fact that you can work from home and reduce whatever pollution, etc. All that kind of thing. Maybe the leap of faith wasn't actually keeping the normal, but doing the abnormal, which is what happened.
Well,
Which
I
is
mean,
what
look,
happened with Thomas Edison. He did the abnormal. He did the not what everyone was used to, right? So
I agree that there are some good things that came out of this, regardless of what happens. Like now, people are going to be more aware of like viruses and bacteria. I think there's going to be a lot more focus and energy put into creating vaccines and you know, battling that kind of stuff. So there's definitely good stuff going on there. Um, but you know, the other thing you said, um, what was it? You said, I'm trying to remember now. Oh yeah, the pollution thing, right?
yeah.
So again, pollution, I don't see it as a negative thing necessarily, because you know, pollution is created by machines. I mean, yeah, obviously, first of all, before I get into this, let me say, yeah, pollution isn't good. If we can reduce it, that's great. But we have to consider the cost of reducing it, because all the machines that create pollution are the machines that prolong your life and every other human life. So a car, for example, creates pollution, but a car allows you to be more productive. You can go to places, and you know, you can go to work every day, whereas before you could only work within a 5 mile radius of where you were born, for example.
Or
You
yeah.
know, cars allow the doctors to go to work so they could treat you. It allows the scientists to travel so that they can, you know, create the next medicine.
Yeah.
It allows Bill Gates to drive so he can create Microsoft, and you know, all that. So at what cost? Imagine we were to get rid of car pollution completely by just getting
At
rid of
what cost?
cars. Again, our lives would go backwards, because cars, for example, enable
Yeah,
so
but
much things. So I think when we judge pollution, we have to look at what cost and how bad is the pollution. Now, if the pollution is bad enough that it's causing you to die within the next 5 years, then 100% that's not worth it. I'd rather like go back to cave day, you know, the cave
yeah,
times, and
yeah.
then live another 30 years than
Oh
maybe five.
yeah. And
I
having
mean,
said that,
you know, I'd
under
have to
this,
weigh that in my mind.
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't made the
no.
decision yet.
But no, 100%. But what I'm saying to you is that we didn't come up with every solution, but I'm saying those type of situations where you're like, oh my God, you know, we can't leave this much radius, this much this, then makes you start questioning, if this was to happen again, how would we be able to do this or get to work or safely? And you can ask yourself those questions much more when something like that happens and you're actually indoors, as opposed
Yeah.
to saying to yourself, let's just treat like everything is normal. And you know, next time when there's a super even worse COVID thing or something way worse that is more damaging, we'd kind of have that experience, and whatever is developed out of this experience for different people or etc. will benefit us in the next one.
So yeah, no, I agree. Again, that there
You
are
know?
some advantages,
Yeah.
even if they're wrong,
Even if they're wrong.
even
Yeah.
if the death rate comes out to be like the flu, or maybe like COVID-19 just killed all the people who are going to die from the flu anyway. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, I mean, there's definitely advantages. We've learned a lot about ourselves.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible that not all people need to go to work,
Hmm.
and all that stuff. But there's also the danger that if we're wrong this time, that next time people just
We
won't
don't have
take
the
it
money for it.
seriously. No, they won't
Yeah.
take it seriously. It'll be like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, true. It's like
last time you
you're
locked
right.
us up and it was
That's a good
bullshit.
point.
And so people will go out and they won't
The boy
care.
who
And there
cried
might even
sheep.
be riots and mass protests and all. Hopefully it won't be. I mean, I don't know what will happen. Hopefully people will, you know, recognize, even if it wasn't serious, maybe it is, you know, that okay, there was still some value in taking it seriously, and we should take the next one seriously if it is serious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And you're right. Hopefully, people realize as well that, you know, just because, let's just say, as you said, you know, it's not the boy who cried sheep situation where people are
Boy who
like,
cried
oh,
wolf, I think.
wolf. Yeah, not sheep. Sheep, no! The sheep's gonna eat me! Wait, wait, wait! Hide the wolves in the barn because this way the sheep doesn't eat them.
That's right. By the way,
There's-
do wolves eat pigs?
No, they only eat halal meat, wolves.
No, because no, because
Depends which wolf.
the story of the three little pigs, isn't that a wolf trying to eat them?
Yeah, true. To be honest, there's different variations of that story. In a lot of the variations, he never actually gets to eating the pig because the other pigs run to the other house, so he doesn't actually eat them. But then there is other three little pigs where the first two get butchered and eaten by that wolf.
The story I know is like more PG. It's like that he eats the first two, then he pretends. Wait, is it he pretends to be grandma?
No, that's you're confusing Little Red
Oh,
Riding
that's
Hood.
right. I am confusing. Oh yeah, that's right. I am
Little
confusing.
Red
So
Riding Hood, he doesn't eat the grandma, but the grandma hides under the bed.
no, so the story of the Red Riding Hood that I know is I think he eats her, but then after they kill the wolf, then they could cut her out and take her out of the stomach, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
all
yeah.
fine. But that's just a kid's version, or maybe that's how they explain it.
Tell
To
you
me.
what the worst one is, man. I don't know if I said this again on the podcast before or told you privately, but if you remember, you can interrupt me. But in case anyone else doesn't know this story, when I started reading stories to Layla, my daughter, there was one in particular, and it was about a chick. And I'll tell it to you in 2 seconds, and you can actually tell me your thoughts on it. It was tell me the moral of the story that I can teach my daughter, right?
All right.
The chick comes to a turkey and it goes to the turkey, hey, listen, the sky is falling on our heads. We have to go tell the king. And then him and the turkey go and they find chicken or whatever. They basically go through 10 different birds and keep telling the birds, listen, the sky is falling on our heads. The chick told me so. We have to go find the king and let him know so he can deal with it. And after it goes to the swan, to the ducks, to the seagull, to whatever bird you can imagine, the birds end up bumping into a fox, sorry. And they're like, the fox is like, where are you all going? And they're like, we have to tell the king about the sky falling under our heads. Are you coming with us? Fox like, I know a shortcut. Come over. Takes them straight in his lair or cave or whatever wolves live in, and eats them all. The end.
Oh, okay.
The end. And then it says, and the sky wasn't falling on anyone's heads, and no one ever went to the king, and he never knew anything about anything that went on. And then I'm like, wait a minute. So, what's the moral of the story here? Is it that if someone's telling you something, don't necessarily believe him because eventually you'll tell someone who'll trick him? What is it? Like, how much thought went into that story, and why is it targeted towards kids?
Well, that's an interesting one.
Out.
I mean, now I just thought about it. Maybe you are right. The moral of the story is don't just listen to what someone told you. If someone says the sky is falling, don't just believe them. Maybe look into it. Maybe try and make your own mind up, and then if you agree with them, then you follow them. Whereas they followed everyone who said the sky is falling, and then they followed the fox who said no, it isn't coming to my. So basically,
he didn't say no, it isn't. He said, oh, is it? Come over to my king. If he said no, it isn't.
Okay, well, either way, all he did was he told them, okay, come into my lair. So at no point did anyone exercise any thought, right? They just blindly followed.
So maybe don't blindly follow.
Yeah, I think I like that. Actually, I like the story.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe what it is as well is that very simply, just in case anyone tells you the sky is falling, the sky doesn't fall, and that's it. And the rest was just added extra to wrap it up.
Could be. I mean,
back then, people didn't have like us, a really good education on science and everything. So I'm guessing like in the 1817, 1600s at that time, people just took it for granted that the sky could fall one day.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for a lovely discussion, Mark. You've been wonderful. And
thank you too.
I think we'll wrap it up for now. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you later.
Now, if I see you first.